How's it going, YouTube? It's been a while, but I am back to talk more about my PhD because that seems to be all I am doing with my time these days. Not that I'm complaining, it just is what it is. For anybody who has visited my channel before, you'll know that I used to make a bunch of other videos, and I kind of haven't really had the time to do any of that. I have, just as a quick update for anybody who is playing along at home, I did do a bunch of machine drum videos a little while ago, and I promised to do a sample pack out of that. I have been making that sample pack. It's just a slow process, especially when I don't have much time. But I will do a video at some point when that's all done, and I'll put that sample pack out. But today we're not looking at any machine drum stuff. We're just looking at Ableton. Obviously right now on the screen there is no Ableton, but we'll get to that in a sec. For those who don't know, my PhD is a project where I'm using generative AI as kind of like a collaborator. As I'm going on with it, it feels less and less like a collaborative process and much more like the AI is kind of like a sound design assistant almost. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that the AI doesn't contribute actively to the process. Obviously, I have to put in prompts, whether they be text or audio, to get results back. And then once I have those results, what I do with them is pretty extensively different to what it begins life as. That is to say, I do a lot with it. Staggering amount, in fact. Sometimes more, so more work is involved just to get it where I want it to be, rather than if I wasn't using AI at all. So just keep that in mind. I'm not doing this to skip steps, to have a shortcut to a finished record. I've released many records in my life. I am an accomplished producer and musician. And the only reason I'm getting defensive about this is because I know that there are people out there who have issues with AI, and I totally understand that, and that's totally reasonable. I have issues with it too, don't get me wrong. But I do think it is interesting technology, and as creatives, I think we should explore using it in our process. In our creative process, because that's what creatives do. New technology comes along, you play around with it, you make new art. That's just kind of how it goes, and has gone for centuries now, really. But anyway, that's a bit of a diatribe about what I'm doing here. Let's go over to Ableton and have a look at my latest track, and I'll talk through it. I'm pretty happy with it. Just before I do that, though, in the background, you can see some guitars. Maybe you can't see it over there. There's another one. The one on my left is actually my old guitar. I'll just grab it. It's an Ibanez RG. Good guitar. But the thing about that guitar, I'm not really a metal player, and I find that Ibanez guitars are a little bit metal vibes. It's a great sounding guitar. It's a great playing guitar, but it's not quite my style. And I don't mean because it's metal. I just mean like when I play it, it just doesn't feel quite right. I've always, for a long time now, wanted a Strat, a Fender Stratocaster. The first guitar I learned to play on when I was a wee lad was a Strat copy. I don't even know what the brand was, but it was a red Strat copy. And I just love Strats. They just play amazingly well, and they just feel really good to play. And I love the sound of that single coil pickup, especially on the neck position. And so I bought this guitar not that long ago. I replaced the pickups in it with single coils because the one I bought had humbuckers. I bought it off Marketplace. I didn't buy it because of the humbuckers. I just bought it because it was a good deal and it was the guitar I wanted. But when I got it, I realized I wanted that single coil sound, so I bought some new pickups. The pickups I actually bought a loaded pickguard and from a local manufacturer, local as in Australia, called JJ's Pickups, and these pickups sound awesome. I absolutely love them. And this guitar just plays like a dream. I just love it. I'll just grab it. I don't know if anybody out there is watching my channel from Guitar World. But yeah, I just love this guitar. It's just beautiful. So why am I talking about guitars? Well, let's head over to Ableton and I'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so here we are in Ableton. This is my latest track. Down the bottom here, you can see I've recorded some guitar for it. I've been getting really back into guitar, been practicing a lot, and this is the first kind of proper recording that I've done after playing and practicing a lot, because I sort of neglected guitar for a long time, and I'm back at it, and I'm loving it. We'll get to the guitar parts in a sec, but let's just open up this track here. There we go. So this green track is the AI-generated material that I based this track around. So what I'm going to do is actually show you the original version of this audio, because I actually edited the audio pretty significantly. So I'll just grab that and we can have a listen to that really quick. Okay, so for the purposes of this video, I just dragged in, made a new track and dragged in the original audio. We're going to listen to it right now. And this is what the AI generated based on my prompt, which is a fairly long prompt, which says, using the harmony from this track, because I inserted audio as well, create a cinematic trip-hop track featuring cool Rhodes piano and dreamy choir and a striking, and it kind of just trails off after that because it's too long. But let's listen to it. And then it just abruptly cuts off. And let's just, I'm just going to mute that. Let's listen to, in isolation, what I did with it. So I chopped it up a little bit, found the parts that I liked. I just made it sound better, because this version, this original version, as you can hear, it's pretty weird. It's pretty wonky. But that's, to be fair, that's what I like about it, but I didn't want it to be so wonky that it wasn't pleasant to listen to. So I kind of looped some sections, copied, pasted some parts around, and I made these kind of 3 sections, which kind of repeat a little bit, but also don't. So this is kind of the whole part that I made, these 3 different greens, with out of this little pink piece of audio here. Let's just check the automation. Okay, so there's some automation going there. I'm just going to turn off the auto filter that I have here so we can just hear it on its own. So let's listen to it on its own. So this part's kind of the same as what we just heard. It starts to change a bit from here. Still pretty weird. All right. So, bit different from this original version, a little bit cleaner, a little bit sort of listener friendly, still pretty weird. But that's what drew me to it in the first place. So, what did I do with it? Well, I've done a lot with it. let's just put that auto filter back on. And let's also just delete this pink track here because we don't need that. And let's just listen to some of these other parts. So what I've done here is I have the original beat here, which I stripped out using another AI tool, and then I sort of created a beat around it. So let's listen to this. So that's kind of the original beat. But if I add my extra beat elements, it sounds more like this. So it's like I've retained the sort of essence, but I've added extra stuff, extra hits, different kick drum. The kick drum is from VCV Rack, which I'll just bring it up here. Yep, it's a proc bass drum. I've also got the hi-hats here, which are also from VCV Rack. It's just, I don't know if you can hear that. There's people drilling on my roof. Hopefully you can't hear it. But anyway, yeah, I made this kind of pretty hectic chain of noise and a little bit of hi-hats from proc as well, and some like sort of using this one MIDI track to kind of one MIDI gate to go through these various Bernoulli gates and split out the signal randomly across different instruments. And that sounds like this. So fairly textural, kind of interesting sound. And then the snare is just this like 606 sample, which I got from, I exported the MIDI from the original audio, and that's just the sound that it selected. That's just the sound that it used for the snare sound, and I just thought it worked. I do like 606 sounds, so that's fine. But anyway, the point is I've sort of built this drum track around the original beat from the AI generated audio. Similarly, I've done something similar with the bass. So let's have a look at this. So we've got two tracks here, which are the audio extracted or split from the original AI generated audio, just the bass part. And that sounds like this. I've done a lot of stuff to it, so I've micro shift, bit of EQ, well, quite a bit of EQ actually. Quite often with AI generated stuff, you do have to kind of shape it a lot. Also some reverb, more EQ, and then this one down here. This one has a spectral resonator on it. Let's have a listen to that. And it's taking MIDI information from the next track, which is just an operator. Let's listen to that one. Quite like this sound. Operator is such a great instrument. I use it a lot actually, just for bass and keys and stuff. It's just a beautiful sounding instrument. FM just generally, really. Bit of reverb. Not a lot else going on. Some light EQ. And then here, I have two instances which are both frozen right now because I had some pretty hectic modulation going on using Strange Mod, which is a Max for Live plugin. But I'm using this gem, which is from the Opal pack from Fours FM. Really great kick drum / bass instrument. And if you modulate it, you kind of get this like thudding string bass kind of sound. So all of that together sounds pretty full. Right, so again, excuse me, again, we are taking the original AI generated content, splitting the audio into its respective instruments, and then heavily altering or layering on top of and editing the audio that comes out of that or gets split out from that. So I've done something similar here. This is also something which I've talked about a lot before in other videos, in other tracks that I've made using a similar process. So if you've watched those videos, you know what I'm talking about. But here I've got the harmony part, which is kind of like the meat of the sound. And I've done something similar here. I actually have two different versions, which were both stripped out of the original audio using two different AI stem splitters. They gave kind of different results, and I ended up layering them. But let's listen to them one by one. So this group here is the lows. I'll just play the whole group. And individually. This one's got more reverb on it. You can see that I'm limiting the hell out of it to really bring up all of the lower volume elements. But then down here in the highs, it's all kind of more distant, high frequency stuff. Let's go over here. So this is quite fuzzy. It's very in the background, you know. So all of that together. So you can see that, like, I'm not just chucking the AI in there and just calling it a day. There's actually a lot that goes into even just getting to this point. Like, just making these tracks sound as good as they do, it took hours and hours. Let's listen to it with the main AI part, the part that I edited, which I showed at the beginning. I'll put the harmony section, I'll put the bass in, and I'll put the drums in. And let's just listen to what all of that sounds like. And I'll take out the main AI part as well as we go. So it's a very rich sound, right? And let's take the AI part out. I mean, I'm not stripping out all the AI parts, but the main original part. Let's bring it back. Just adds a bit of that high frequency content. Cool. So let's also just quickly listen to the original version. So it's just very flat, really, you know. It's lacking a lot of detail. Here I also have a sort of the guitar part that it's sort of stripped out of that original audio as well, which I've done a lot to this as well, but let's just have a listen to some of it. So I've got this really intense comb filter on it. Plus another filter. A long delay as well. Valhalla delay. Bunch of compression. Some micro shift, some width. So it gives this nice sort of springy kind of effect. So I'll just stop that there. And so this first sort of section here, roughly to there, is kind of based off this original audio here. But then everything beyond this is kind of original I hesitate to say original content, as if the previous content wasn't original in the sense. But this latter half is more original, you might say. Here I am getting defensive again, but I can hear those people out there being like, damn you, AI. Anyway, this other pink section down here is like a sort of pad, like drone bed, kind of Atmos bed that I've made. This is also from another AI-generated audio file, but the result of this one sounds very different from the original. And it's actually from a different prompt, so it's kind of slightly out of key, so I kind of had to pitch it back into key. And it's not doing much, but if I remove it, I don't like how it sounds. So it's like you can't really hear it in there unless you remove it, if that makes sense, which is quite often what happens in production. There's something in there that like you're like, well, you can't even hear it. But then as soon as you remove it, you're like, oh, that sounds weird and flat now. So let's have a listen to that. Let's bring it forward a bit. So this plays kind of in the latter half. We'll get to that section later, but I've also made these piano parts and synth piano kind of part, which I kind of just made up. I didn't make up. I kind of interpreted the original AI-generated file and made these chords out of it. Let's listen to this group. So there's like some quite jazzy chords in there as well, because this original track just features a lot of sort of jazzy chords in it. I don't know. I just like it. I don't even know if they're jazzy chords. They're just like, what's the word I'm after? Like sevenths and ninths and stuff like that. Can't remember what the term is. God, my music credentials are just shattering as I speak. Anyway, let's listen to this piano part with the bass. So yeah, it really fills it out. It only comes in this second part here, and then it follows in as these other parts diminish in this second part here. I've also got these keys that play here and this Reese bass and ARP. So let's listen to them and this group, because I really like what happens here. So we go from that original part and we move into this. I can bring the piano pad in. And I'll just unmute everything. So you can hear those guitars as well. Let's just quickly go down here and have a look at them. So on every single one of these tracks, I'm using this Mateus Asato plugin from Neural DSP. I actually am about to run out of the trial period on this. I'm 100% going to buy it though, because it sounds amazing. I don't even like outside of the promotional material from Neural DSP. I don't even really know who Matteo Sasato is, but I really like these guitar tones. They're just beautiful, and it's exactly what I want for my sort of style of playing. So let's just listen to some of these parts. I'll just turn the guitar solo on, or solo the guitar parts. So I just think that sounds lush as fuck, and I absolutely love it. So that's kind of the track. There is this other part at the end here where the chords kind of change into this little nice riff here. Let's just have a listen to that really quick. I'll bring the breeze bass and the arpeggio in as well. So that's it. We're going to listen to the whole track now, but that's the vibe. I really like this track. I'm really satisfied with it. I feel like this journey of using generative AI to make music and then converting the weird shit that it comes up with into something that is inherently me, it's unavoidable, really. Like, everything that I touch musically ends up sounding like me. I can't avoid it. It's just how it goes. But I guess I take umbrage at the fact that people have such an issue with AI, even though I totally understand why they do. I feel like if our society was not so hell-bent on capitalism, maybe people wouldn't care as much about AI, because the main reason they hate it is it's going to steal all of their jobs. But if you didn't need to have a job, maybe that wouldn't matter. Isn't that the promise of automation? I thought it was. But anyway, I guess I'm just saying that, like, a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of knowledge and skill goes into making a track like this, even if it started with some AI-generated content. Granted, there are people out there just using AI at every step of the process to make band photography, songs for the band, lyrics for the band, and then putting the fictional band up on Spotify and claiming that it's real. I hate all of that stuff. It's absolutely disgusting. People like that should be ashamed of themselves. But there's always going to be shit cunts in the world, is basically what I'd say to that, who do shit things like that. So I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to create something beautiful out of a new technology. Anyway, I'm ranting now. I'm definitely ranting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my microphone. We're going to listen to this track in its entirety. And that's going to do it for the video. So here we go. All right. That's the song. It's still fresh, so there's probably a few things I might change. I did notice in this part here, listening to it just then, that these parts, they don't clash, but they sort of play over each other just slightly. Maybe some panning there could help. But generally speaking, I think that's kind of like a in the bag kind of track. It's pretty finished. So I just wanted to talk about it and show it here. But yeah, I feel like I got a little bit defensive before. It's not like I've had people yelling at me because I'm using AI, but I do feel like I always have to explain it. Like that the way I'm using it is not just prompting and calling it a day. Nothing would give me less pleasure than doing that. So anyway, this is kind of what I came up with over the past few days. I hope you liked it, and I hope you like seeing just some insight into my process. So moving forward, I'm going to be using guitar a little bit more in this project, and I'm very interested to write a song or write a piece using guitar almost exclusively, and then exporting that audio and feeding that into the AI model and seeing what it comes up with based on guitar music. Because everything I've been sort of feeding it so far is synths, drums, modular synths, stuff like that. Compositions, but then like of mine, but then like feeding them in and sort of getting alternative versions. If you've watched any of the previous sort of video logs that I've been doing, I've sort of talked about that a bit, but I'm very interested to learn what it will do with different instrumentation on the input. So I'm going to be doing that. Also, just I'm in a bit of a guitar phase right now. So I just kind of want to incorporate it a bit more. But yeah, this is kind of like, this track is a bit of a bridging the gap in a way. It's like very electronic, very kind of IDM, like it's quite strange at the start here, and then it kind of gets less strange, and then it gets very less strange. So it's sort of like this progression from strangeness to lushness, or harmony, you might say, which is intentional. I always like doing that kind of thing. It's kind of like a hallmark of my music, but also of just my inspiration. Like artists that I like a lot do that kind of thing, especially in the IDM genre. But this track, I think, is quite inspired by the likes of Plaid, especially the guitar parts, because there's a track by them called Relome, I think it's Relome, from Restproof Clockwork, one of their first albums. And that track has just always mesmerized me. I just absolutely love it. I've never stopped loving it. It's just always been one of my absolute peak favorite tracks. And it has guitar in it from a guitarist called Bennett Walsh, who has worked with Plaid a number of times. And I just really love the guitar in that track, and I just love the melody. I just love Plaid. They just have such beautiful melodies. So I guess I'm sort of hoping, whether it's intentional or not, that this track is a bit evocative of that, if not the same. This track is currently called Strange Jazz, just because it sounds a bit jazzy at the start here, and it's quite strange. But that's not the final name of the track. Anyway. Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and please like and subscribe if any of my content, whether it's this or previous content, is of any interest to you. But yeah, a lot of my content moving forward at this time is going to be PhD related, just because that's just, it's a big project. I don't have much time in my life outside of this and my teaching job. So yeah. I would love to go back to making other videos as well. So maybe we'll get some more of them at some point. Anyway, I've spoken for too long. I'll make another video soon, and I'll see you later. Bye.